Now, Defend Our Democracy hosted an online rally yesterday calling on organizations, political parties and individuals to respect the Constitutional Court judgment on Jacob Zuma. Ibrahim Foundation board member Naidoo was on the speakers list at the rally and joins us now virtually. Thank you very much, Mr. Naidoo, for your time. Now, of course, this is an unprecedented time in South Africa. We're seeing a former president, as you say, defying the Constitutional Court. But is he not testing, perhaps, something within the South African Constitution that's never been tested before?
Well, I think the facts of the matter are very clear, irrespective if the person at the center of this debacle is a former president. We have a constitution, and leaders are sworn to uphold the constitution, which guarantees the rights of the South African citizens. And therefore, when the Constitutional Court pronounces a judgment, we cannot rise above the rule of law. That's a basic principle of the democracy, the constitutional democracy that we have negotiated, and that the former president was part of drafting, that no one is above the law. And so the law guarantees a fair trial, and the law guarantees through the Zondo Commission the ability of people who are accused of being involved in state capture or implicated in that state capture to go to the Zondo Commission and state their position. So I think the real issue really, it isn't a constitutional crisis, but I think the Constitution at the end of the day has to prevail.
Now, do we ignore, for instance, the minority court and their judgment, Justice Jafta as well as Justice Theron, saying that this direct imprisonment is unconstitutional in their words? And they also say in their minority judgment that although the Constitutional Court is the apex court, those who actually impose decisions made by that court should not go over what their constitutional obligations are, sort of saying that the majority court is going over and above what they're supposed to actually do.
I think the principal issue is that the former president, Jacob Zuma, refused to go to the Zondo Commission, a commission that he was responsible during his tenure as president of appointing. And so that clearly was a defiance of the law. And so the issue then goes to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court pronounces on that. Now, I am not a lawyer, and certainly not a constitutional lawyer. And so the Constitutional Court needs to resolve this issue, but there is an outstanding judgment. And surely we should allow the Constitutional Court, if they so choose to define what the next step is. But I think that here we have a former president, a public office bearer, the highest holding public official in our democracy for a number of years, defying the Constitution, a court judgment. And so I think that this issue has to be resolved, but it doesn't take away the fact that the issues at stake are still real and still have had a dramatic impact on the lives of millions of South African citizens, because billions of rand were siphoned out of public treasury and led to a state that is facing critical signs of failing because of it.
And of course, the reaction from Save Our Democracy with regards to the decision or the developments that came out yesterday about the Constitutional Court saying they'll hear the former president out on the 12th of July. Would you say that this is the Constitution still at work?
Well, I think that, we have to allow a process of the law to go ahead. I think the Constitutional Court has ruled on this, that there is a hearing on the 12th of July. And I think that Constitutional Court is now responsible for clarifying a great deal of confusion that has arisen around this issue. And so I suppose for me, as a citizen, I would want the Constitutional Court to clarify its position.
Mr. Naidoo, does the Save Our Democracy movement, for instance, perhaps agree with the punitive measures that the Constitutional Court went with, or are you perhaps more disappointed that it had to get to this?
I'm deeply disappointed that it had to get to the stage it has got to. The Save the Democracy campaign is a campaign of citizens standing up in their individual capacities or as organizations and saying that the Constitution must prevail. It's not building an alternative movement in this country, but it's us as citizens standing up and saying that we must all be held accountable, that no one believes because they hold positions of power, especially where the requirements of corporate governance, the requirements of ethical leadership are greater than that of around ordinary citizens. But citizens of this country are saying we've had enough. That we have evidence as presented to the Zondo Commission that there's been corruption and an undermining of corporate governance in many parts of our government that has led to a failure in its part to deliver the goods that people have a legal obligation to have delivered to them. And this has consequences.